Welcome to the Focus on Why podcast. I'm Amy Rowlinson and I ask my guests one simple question. Why? Focusing on the importance of why, I share with you the relatable, uplifting and inspiring conversations I have with people from all walks of life. This podcast will encourage you to focus on your why to enable and empower you to achieve the success you desire. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Before we start, I would like to draw your attention to my weekly email newsletter, Friday Focus. Each Friday, I focus on one topic with one action arising. The link to sign up is in the show notes, or head over to amyrowlinson.com and sign up right now. Hi, and welcome to my 53rd Reflections with Actions episode. These episodes are different to the majority of my other episodes, as you just have me. There are no guests sharing the mic today. So what should you expect from this episode? Well, I will look back on the last 5 and pull on different threads that have piqued my interest in some way, and explore them in more detail. Also, there are many topics that I just don't get the time to dive deeper during the conversations themselves. So here is a perfect opportunity to do just that with you. So let's look back at the last 5 guests on Focus on Why. Coincidentally, all 5 are professional speakers who have honed their very different areas of expertise to reach global audiences to serve people with their purpose-driven offerings. First up is episode 329, Superstar Connector with Susan Heaton-Wright. How critical is it to present the best version of yourself? What impact can you make in business when you do? Growing up, not projecting confidence, Susan Heaton-Wright learned to survive difficult circumstances by reframing. Now, as a multi-award-winning impact communications and speaking expert for emerging leaders, Susan has built a business with the purpose of empowering talented individuals and teams to present the best versions of themselves in all business conversations with confidence, clarity, credibility, and impact. When you do this, you become a superstar communicator. So why does it matter being a superstar communicator? Well, when you're presenting the best version of yourself in all business conversations, it matters because you are then respected and you hold credibility in your area of expertise. You're trusted, you're valued. Sounds great, doesn't it? You'd expect this to be the norm. However, so often I encounter people who don't put their best self forward. And so does Susan, otherwise she wouldn't be needed in her area of work. The risk is that you are underestimated and undervalued if you don't put your best self forward. So digging deeper and going back in time with Susan, we found that the original source of her business idea came from a deep-rooted experience that she had as a schoolgirl, where her teachers had deeply underestimated and undervalued her. The need to prove others wrong that she had great potential was a strong driver that helped Susan to prove her capability, and she has used her personal story to prove what is possible. Time and time again on Focus on Why, a purpose-driven journey has originated from being underestimated, overlooked, not seen, nor heard, nor understood. This catalyst of lack, of disappointment, of anger, of feeling wronged, of frustration is a powerful reason to take action. It provides those initial steps, and then as confidence grows, as results come in, then the individual becomes empowered by their purpose, and instead of an away from motivation, it shifts into a towards purpose-driven and impact-focused mission and vision. It focuses less on themselves and more on the service to others. And whilst the reasons and causes differ, this has become a familiar pattern that I have come to recognise after speaking with over 300 guests on the show. The pain of the past brings people to their focus on today to solve that pain and the problem for others. Susan turned her life around by reframing the beliefs that she held. She learned after years of not speaking up how to speak out, and has turned that inhibition through to mastery of communication to become a superstar communicator. How about you? Is there something inside you that you have squashed and not allowed to see the light of day? What's holding you back? Is it fear in some way? The power of purpose enables you to step up, to move out of that fearful state into the empowered, purpose-driven one. Once you recognize that there is a reason bigger than you for doing so, you see just how much time is wasted on the thoughts of others, most of which are imagined. So I'll ask you the question again. How critical is it to present the best version of yourself? I believe it is a non-negotiable in life. Just imagine the impact you can make in business when you do. Don't live your life as if you had 1,000 years ahead of you. Make every moment count. Live every moment as though it were to be your last and make it matter. Do what you love. Do something that will make a difference in the world. It's life-changing to have an outward giving focus that is of service to others, especially when it comes from your heart, as it does for Susan. Next up is another master communicator in episode 330, Proactive Creativity with Jenny de St. George. Passionate about bringing order to chaos, Jenny takes to the global stage, sharing her knowledge and experience with entrepreneurs, speakers and coaches to help them build and expand their businesses. Practical and creative, Jenny is guided through life and business to great success by her flexibility, authenticity, focus, passion and purpose. Using common sense and logic, Jenny, as a professional communicator, shines a spotlight on proactive creativity. Jenny speaks from the heart. What you see on stage is who you meet off stage. Over the years, she has learned that when you share your shortcomings as well as your triumphs and successes, it allows the audience to move closer to you. And I'm wondering, did you take up Jenny's offer that she put forward in our episode, that 12-minute free Q&A with her? If not, head over to her episode right now to get some of the details. Speaking of her own innate instinctiveness, Jenny mentioned a book, Blink, by Malcolm Gladwell in her episode. My reflection with action was to read it, or in this case, listen via Audible, because I was driving down to Cornwall for a book writing retreat. Now, I've read Outliers before, but I'd not read Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. A collection of stories that examine what lies beneath your ability to make decisions in a split second based on very limited information. The ability to make decisions intuitively is called thin slicing. You take a thin slice or a small amount of data, and from that you deduce meaning using your intuition and experience. Essentially, Gladwell says that many good judgments are made in the moment. However, he also goes on to speak of the dark side of thin slicing. When you fill in the gaps with information that is not correct, events can be totally and sometimes wholly incorrect with dire consequences. In the book, Gladwell is discussing your adaptive unconscious and how you can in fact control it with practice. One story that he shares was of particular interest to me, and that was of a blind music audition where the judging panel were unable to see who was auditioning for the orchestral role. They had to listen with their ears, and they selected someone they would never have selected if they've been able to see the musicians first. Listen with your ears? Of course, isn't that how we all listen? It would appear not. The bias that our eyes play can really influence what we hear. It is one of the reasons I absolutely love the show The Voice, where the judges listen to the music only without forming any other judgment before making their decision. I won't spoil the book for you. Go take a listen and have a read, whichever works for you, and find out what happens in this particular story. Back to Jenny. She is motivated entirely by her passion. As a risk taker and recovering perfectionist, she spoke about how sometime her perfection would paralyze her, saying that perfection and procrastination go hand in hand. Jenny now has trust in herself to deliver and relies on her common sense, logic, creativity, flexibility, focus, passion and purpose to guide her through her life and her work. Her heart and her logic combine to make decisions. Picking up on the analysis paralysis and procrastination elements, they are both common problems that many of us face from time to time. That fear of making the wrong decision can use up all of your executive functioning as you circle round and round and round without moving forward. However, it needs to be noted that procrastination is not putting off an unimportant task. It is a reprioritization of the task, putting what is more important to the top of the list. That being your energy. To be able to do anything, you need to be energized. And I'll come on to this later in my reflections from Donna Smith's episode. Until you take a decision, you won't know for sure if it's a right or wrong one. Something that has really stuck with me is a brilliant line from Dr. Joanna Martin, founder of the One of Many community and guest on episode 308, Mission Critical. Jo says that success in life is in direct proportion to the velocity with which we make decisions. I'll say that again. Success in life is in direct proportion to the velocity with which we make decisions. Now that makes so much sense. It goes back to thin slicing and making those intuitive decisions and then learning from the feedback in making those decisions. I'm currently studying for another coaching certification with Dr. Joanna Martin, and she offers 7 different reasons for why we actually procrastinate. Lack of planning and momentum, out of flow activities, lack of knowledge, overwhelm, analysis paralysis, present self, future self dissonance, and perfectionism. Like Jenny did, do you have the limiting belief that you have to be perfect? I know I did. I held on to the belief where I attached my own self-worth to achievement for years. No, let's make that decades. And I've only recently been able to let go of it. To do so, first I had to recognise it was even a thing. I thought that being Superwoman, the need to achieve it all, that being perfect was something to be proud of and to aim for. Wow, was that a big learning and a relief to let go. A huge weight fell off my shoulders. And if this is something that you recognise in yourself, let's have a chat because I can help you with this. Next up, another professional speaker and entrepreneur who has pursued his passion in business for over 30 years. In episode 331, Educate and Entertain with Rob May. Now, I've been working closely with Rob over the last 18 months or so, and I had not a clue of all the other hats that he wears in life. Not that he's kept them secret, more so that he is always incredibly present to showing up for the role that he's there for in the moment. It's a great skill to possess, and it's likely to be why he is so successful in his other roles. Are you aware that cybersecurity is not an IT problem, that it is in fact yours? How so? Because literally everyone is impacted by cybersecurity attacks. And yet many people are complacent, thinking it won't happen to them. Are you one of those complacent people? What information do you unwittingly share at home and at work? What protections do you have in place to protect your personal and business information? So much private information can be gleaned in less than the time it takes to deliver a coffee simply by liking a post online in a public place. Phishing has now been superseding by whaling. Be aware of what you are sharing online. And please let Rob and me know what you think of his TEDx talk after you've watched the video. It is incredible. Now, I first met Rob back in March 2020 when I heard him speak on a panel, and he scared the living daylights out of me. In a good way, I hasten to add, because he made me aware of what I was not aware of in the realms of cybersecurity. He signposted me to his TEDx talk, The Human Firewall, which I highly recommend you check out. That's what I was speaking about just now. It's only 18 minutes of your life, and I guarantee that it is 18 minutes of your time very well spent. Go check it out. Making the complex simple, Rob, one of the world's top 5 cybersecurity thought leaders and influencers, shares how combining his passion and purpose has helped him to focus on building a business around a topic that fascinates him. 32 years later, and he still loves cybersecurity and spends every moment he can guiding people to understand technology better and to recognize their fear button. Rob's purpose in life and what makes him feel most alive is to educate and entertain. I want to reflect on what Rob said, that which makes him feel most alive. That moment for Rob is when he is speaking and he sees the penny drop for the audience and the impact he's just had on them. He loves to make people laugh, and in equal measures, he loves to make them think. The combination of human connection through education and entertainment is his purpose. Do you know what makes you feel most alive? The answer is found within that feeling of fulfillment. That feeling can be found in the smallest of moments. To recognize what you love doing is the first step. Once you're aware of what you love, your mind will draw more attention to these elements, and before long, you will recognize that you are surrounded by these incredible moments of joy, love, and connection. It comes down to focus. This is why this show is called Focus on Why. It's not enough simply to start with why. Sorry, Simon Sinek, but you need to maintain a focus on your why. And listening to the fabulous Brené Brown's latest book, Atlas of the Heart, she shared what Robert Emmons, professor of psychology at the University of California and also deemed to be the world's leading scientific expert on gratitude, had to say on the subject of gratitude, which links directly to this point. Emmons wrote that gratitude allows us to participate more in life and that we become greater participants in our lives as opposed to spectators. Goodness, I have said this to myself time after time. To switch from existing to living, to be responsible for your actions and to feel alive every day. Brené remarks on that line about living our lives versus being spectators, and it reminds her of how many people she has interviewed over the last 2 decades who have talked about wanting to feel more alive. She questions whether the part of the value of practicing gratitude extends the life of the emotions that make us feel most alive. Moving gratitude from emotion that you feel into something that you do shifts this into practice. Understand your values and live them daily. When you are completely in alignment with your values and making an impact whilst being purpose-driven, you will feel your most alive. Doing something that is meaningful to you makes all the difference. For Rob, he combines his career with areas that provide meaning to him whilst being of service to others. And despite wearing many hats, each hat is connected to Rob's core purpose. They all require him to be authentically Rob and educate and entertain his audience simultaneously. I believe that to feel at your most alive, I recommend you focus on your purpose. You focus on why. And if you need any help with this, please reach out to me. Just book a one-to-one Zoom call via the link in the show notes. Okay, next up is yet another professional speaker. I did warn you that all 5 were awesome speakers. It's likely to be the case too, as a member of the Professional Speaking Association and past president of the Southeast region, that I tend to gravitate towards speakers and vice versa. So in episode 332, Forever Journey, you get to meet the wonderful award-winning coach and professional speaker, Donna Smith, who is on her own journey of discovery, a forever journey. Donna is someone who has burnt out, faced several career crossroads, struggled with perfectionism and that feeling of not being good enough. My goodness, haven't we all? Basically, some of the challenges so many of us battle with regularly and that I spoke of earlier. Donna has faced all of these challenges and now she gets to burn bright every day doing what she loves. Donna made her dream of running her own coaching business a reality in 2017, and now she works with lawyers, helping them to burn bright, not out. Burn out or burn bright? Recognize it is a choice you make. On a mission to prevent junior lawyers from burnout whilst being an example of what is possible is the purpose for former lawyer Donna Smith. Having experienced burnout and knowing how to spot the signs and set clear boundaries, Donna is showing these junior lawyers the steps they need to take in which burn bright will become the norm in the legal profession. To achieve this and to fulfill her dreams, Donna is living an incredible forever journey. Purpose is a forever journey. It will outlive you. It is bigger than you. It is your life's work. Again, Donna is another perfect example of how a personal experience of pain and discomfort has shaped the course of her life of purpose-driven work. Having experienced burnout not once, but twice, she knows exactly how to spot it, how to prevent it, and this solution to a worldwide problem is what she focuses on. It is her focus on why. Burnout is a problem, a big problem in the workplace and in the home. It affects both physical and mental health as well as job performance and job satisfaction. And some studies indicate that between 20% and 50% of workers experience burnout at some time in their careers. That's up to half of the workforce. How is that even possible from a sustainability perspective for businesses to be effective? Clearly, some occupations are far more susceptible to burnout than others. Lawyers, investment bankers, healthcare professionals, teachers, they're all in the high risk category. And burnout doesn't care how old you are or nor what gender you are, although research does show that women and younger workers are more likely to experience burnout, partly because of the greater demands and responsibilities placed on women in the workplace and the home. The main contributors come from a variety of causes, including workload, interpersonal conflicts, organisational culture, and lack of control over one's work. As Donna said, burnout or burn bright is a personal choice, although burnout is probably not one you would consciously choose. Prevention is the best way to avoid it, and that is Donna's area of speciality. Promoting a healthy work environment that strikes a balance between life and work, one that fosters employee autonomy and social support. Time management is key. We all work to the same clock every day. However, managing energy and your time are critical, as is asking for help when needed and sooner than later. Whilst Donna has consciously stepped away from the legal practice as a lawyer, she's not prepared to sit on the sidelines and watch an entire profession burn out in front of her. She has a purpose. She has a plan. She has a focus on why. And instead, she's made it her mission to eliminate burnout in the legal profession. Wow. Thank you, Donna, for taking on that challenge, because at some point in my life, your life, you will need a lawyer, and to know that they are all going to be refreshed, re-energized and not burnt out is so reassuring. Setting clear boundaries is a key element, as is self-care. It all starts with taking control and being responsible for you, setting limits on work hours, taking breaks throughout the day, and clearly defining when you are working and when you're not. Remember, what you choose to focus on most is what you will spend your life doing and who you will become. To make sure you feel at your most alive, choose to burn bright, not burn out. And my final reflection for today is episode 333, The Gift of Sight with Paul Dunn. Paul is a 4-time TEDx speaker, senior fellow in one of the world's leading think tanks, and consults to and mentors leading edge businesses around the world. His impact on audiences around the world is legendary. A session with Paul is always one of the most memorable, impactful and moving sessions of any conference, as indeed it was when I first met him on a Collaboration Global Zoom call organised by Jill Tiney, another future guest on Focus on Why. Within moments of hearing Paul speak, I was transfixed. Well, he was talking about purpose, so that was fairly easy. And this was the same in our podcast recording. I asked him how his journey into purpose came about, and he said it was as a result of a single question raised by one of his mentees. What if every time you do business, something great happens in the world? That's the question that Paul's mentee and co-founder of B1G1, Masami Sato, asked him, and which subsequently changed the course of Paul's life forever. Before this point, Paul had believed that there were only 2 intentions to focus on as an entrepreneur: deliver amazing value to those he was privileged to serve, and to have fun doing it. Now Paul says there is a 3rd strand, that something great happens in the world as a result. Now, having created over 319 million impacts globally through B1G1, Paul speaks passionately about purpose and how we need to move beyond being purpose-driven to become impact-driven. To do this, you need the gift of sight. Focus on Why is a business for good and has so far made a contribution towards those 319 million to the tune of 1,599 giving impacts since I signed up back early this year, 2023. However, when Masami spoke of her plan, Paul thought he had understood, but he had not really seen the true impact of the intention behind her idea. After some further explaining, the penny finally dropped and Paul was rendered truly humbled by the power behind the concept that she was explaining. He then recognised the incredible opportunity that she had presented him with and asked if he could be her mentee for life. Not professing to understand the way the universe works, but acknowledging that he does understand how gratitude works, Paul finally was able to see what his role was in life after all these years. Every day, he now shares the message and mission that B1G1 seeks to achieve. Practicing gratitude is free, unlimited in its resource, and available to everyone. There are so many positive benefits, including improving the quality of your sleep, your self-esteem, and enhancing empathy, which in turn reduces any aggression that you may be holding on to. Studies have also shown that practicing gratitude reduces your stress and even plays a major role in overcoming trauma to build resilience. With a focus on gratitude, you will experience more satisfaction in life as your attention is shifted to experiencing positive emotions. Pioneer in the field of positive psychology, Martin Seligman said, "When we take time to notice the things that go right, it means we're getting a lot of little rewards throughout the day." The science behind gratitude is simple. When you express or receive gratitude, the brain releases dopamine and makes a connection between the behavior and feeling good. So the more you practice gratitude, the more often dopamine releases, and the more you feel good. It was Aesop who said, "Gratitude turns what we have into enough." So what are you grateful for? Try this simple exercise. Take a piece of paper, write at the top, "I am grateful for." Then begin writing. After writing your list, take a moment to recognize how you feel. When you focus on what you have as opposed to what you lack, you shift your mindset to one of positivity, to one of gratitude. Brené Brown says in her book, Atlas of the Heart, that gratitude is an emotion that reflects our deep appreciation for what we value, what brings meaning to our lives, and what makes us feel connected to ourselves and others. In his episode, Paul also spoke of Brené, saying that she said connection gives you meaning and purpose. Paul has made that connection to greater good in his life. His impact is to think globally and connect his everyday actions to the actions of others across the planet through his business model at B1G1. When people share their stories on the show, I listen intently, and sometimes I see it from a different perspective to them. And this is what happened with Paul, and I was able to offer him an insight and connection that he had not made before. Go check it out. It is truly a beautiful moment that earned the title of this episode. Paul said he is 29,000 days old on the day of recording, and he was in no way looking to retire, echoing the wise words of Zig Ziglar, who said that he figured he had less time than ever before, so instead of slowing down, he needed to speed up. It's so true. I am over 17,500 days old, and I recognise this desire to not waste a moment. And before you say anything, yes, I'm going to be careful to not head towards burnout. I have retired superwoman. I have set my boundaries. I know my values, and I know what makes me most alive. I live in the moment, and I also have that plan. I have my focus on why. And I've spoken a lot about the importance of moments across all my reflections today. Paul said that where we are right now in terms of our business and our life is really as a direct result of our reaction to the moments. The conversation he had with his mentee was one of these moments which not only changed his life, that singular moment, but it gave him more of it. He is feeling more alive now than ever before. How incredible is that? As part of the Ikigai research that Hector Garcia shared in his episode in 39, and also that of Dan Buettner, which he shared in the Blue Zones research he's done, purpose is said to have helped you live a longer life. And here is living proof of that in Paul Dunn. Want to live longer? Live with purpose. What also stood out for me was this one line that Paul shared, which was that the power of any idea is only ever in its implementation. I reflected in the podcast that it reminded me of a line by Anton Chekhov, which I often use, which is, knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice. Paul has put his 29,000 days of acquiring knowledge into practice. Daily practice that is creating incredible positive global ripple effects through the work of B1G1. Ripples that he may never really fathom the extent of their reach as they continue across the globe. His web of good is being woven to create the most beautiful infinite web of connection, purpose and impact. What an incredible legacy he has created and continues to be supported by businesses and individuals across the world. If you want to know more about the B1G1 organisation, check out the link in the show notes. Now, I ask each guest to close out the episode with some parting words of wisdom. Sometimes these reaffirm something that has been said earlier in their episode, and other times they're just standalone mic drop moments of pearly wisdom. Paul closed out his episode of the gift of sight with one of these gifts of pearly wisdom, saying that when your vision becomes more powerful than your memory, your future becomes more powerful than your past. Let me share that again. When your vision becomes more powerful than your memory, your future becomes more powerful than your past. If you are to do anything at all as a result of tuning in today, I recommend that you focus on your why. Then focus on your vision. Why is the foundation for everything. When you place people at the heart of your decisions, when you know who you can help, the problem you can solve, and the impact you can have, you create purposeful, fulfilling work which solves personal, professional, even global problems. What makes you feel most alive? What is it you want to do in life more than anything else? Who can you help? What is your focus on why? How has this conversation had an impact on you? What value have you received from tuning in? What are your reflections with actions? Please take a moment to leave me an Apple Podcast or Spotify review sharing how Focus on Why has made a difference to you today. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. To keep it going, simply connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook or Twitter, or join the Focus on Why Facebook group. All the links are in the show notes. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.